Tanya Staples, certified financial planner, PhD, ABD in personal finance from Kansas State University. My area of research is obviously financial planning, but I look at a lot of both gender client issues, gender practitioner issues, just trying to do what so many of us are trying to do and move the profession forward to a higher level. I work at Conestoga College. I'm a professor and researcher there, primarily teach advanced financial planning. I've spent 10 years in pension benefit consulting and then another 13 years teaching. So I looked at barriers, benefits, and threats. That's what I looked at primarily using the health belief model. And so barriers are tangible. Things about truly being obstacles to engaging in those behaviors. So being heavily indebted. If you have too much debt, there just isn't any money to save for the future. Not having an emergency fund, you're not prepared if something terrible was to happen. And I think there are four, but I think the other big one is feeling like you have no control or actually feeling like money controls you, which would be another obstacle. And so I think when you think about those benefits, theoretically, it's tied to the ultimate outcome. So do you ultimately see the benefit in engaging in retirement preparedness behaviors? Do you see the value of saving money? Do you see the value of having an account dedicated to retirement? Do you see the value of calculating your need? And so we see those behaviors in current day simply in other behaviors that lead to those same type of behaviors in the future. We're creatures of habit, right? So if you currently save for an emergency fund, you're probably going to save for your future retirement. If you currently set goals, you're probably going to calculate your need in the future. And it's recognizing that these current benefits, we use this current benefit analysis to determine the likelihood of engaging in future behaviors. And so we found 6 very specific benefits that did indicate behavior engagement likelihood. So what are you perceiving about your future? What are you fearing or worrying about? And so individuals worry about their money running out. Individuals worry about not being able to afford life's wants, never actually being able to get to where they are. They worry about not being able to make ends meet. They worry about not being able to keep up with bills. And so it's always this psychological worry piece that tends to be much more internal. And the reason I use the term threats is that in the research, susceptibilities on their own and severities on their own, they're not enough. It's that how likely is it that something terrible will happen to me, right? And it's those two pieces together that create a threat for someone and limit them in engaging in retirement preparedness behaviors. It does require understanding of human behavior, right? So you need to have some understanding of heuristics and behavioral finance. There needs to be a significant amount of empathy. We don't need to be therapists, but we do need to recognize that all individuals bring baggage to the financial discussion, whether it be from their childhood or from past experiences. There may be trauma involved. And so some of these feelings may come from that. And so recognizing and truly attempting to understand where the client is coming from and recognizing that maybe your understanding or your biases or your past is not that of your client, and so you need to be in a very open, accepting place in order to truly hear what the client is saying. Well, and I think it's something that we all know, but at the same time too, maybe we don't give it the credit it needs. And so we have heard in our profession and other professions for years, people just need to spend less than they make. They just need to spend less than they make. And that was the absolute strongest effect in all of this research, all the barriers, all the benefits, all the threats, was that if people simply spent less than they made. And so the issue for me is that there's both a barrier there and there's a psychology there, because Canadians are indebted, right? Canadians are worried about their financial future, but if they simply spend less than they make. And so I'm not convinced it's simply about educating people more. I think it's meeting people where they're at and helping them devise or develop very small, manageable habits that can be rewarded, that they can feel good about, and taking small steps forward to simply spending less than they make. Begin by starting small, because what the research says is benefits will outweigh barriers and threats if the client can recognize what those benefits are and if those benefits relate to them, right, they will be empowered by that recognition. So I think advisors could spend a lot more time on helping clients identify what benefits resonate with them and the power of those benefits to manage threats and barriers.